Hello, Let's Do Video viewers. Welcome back to the boardroom. And I have with me again, good friend Kevin Kieller. Kevin, could you please introduce yourself?
Well, thank you very much, David, for having me in the Let's Do Video boardroom. So my name's Kevin Kieller. I am the co-founder and lead analyst at Enable UC. And in that capacity, I work with vendors, helping them kind of tell their story. And then I also am, do that half analyst, half consultant, helping large enterprises implement UC and other technology solutions, a lot of times in the Microsoft ecosystem. Um, that Microsoft, I've done a lot of projects there. And then wearing another hat, I also lead the BC Strategies group, which you've got the website up there. And BC Strategies is what I would say is it's the most elite group of independent analysts and consultants. And we really try to help organizations and vendors, and have multiple points of view. So obviously, David, you're one of the esteemed members of the group, and there's all kinds of different points of view. And I think that that's one of the strengths of BC Strategies is we can look at topics, whether it's in the contact center or UC or AI, and just look at it from different points of view. And I always enjoy the discussions, and I think our audience gains a lot out of that. So, but
Absolutely.
today
I'm
we're
a
here
very,
to talk about a different topic.
yes. Well, I just want to say I'm a very proud member of BC Strategies, and I don't mention it often enough, and I should, because it is a great group, and I don't take it for granted that I'm a member of it. And the content we create where we're talking about things together is something that I obviously couldn't do alone, but also the offline conversations we have when the whole team meets once in a while and gets on video. Ooh, those are I look forward to that. It's really a great group to be a member of. But the,
Yeah,
oh,
no, that's yeah, I feel the same way. I always learn something from both the recorded and the pre-recorded sessions.
right. Um, the reason I have you here today is I recently put out a video about I learned that every new keyboard, well, except for Apple keyboards, I guess, but every new keyboard on the planet is going to have a Microsoft Copilot button. And I made a video about it, and I tried to be fair, but I think I was a bit critical because I have critical thoughts. And Kevin reached out to me and said he had some clarifications, and I immediately panicked because Kevin knows way more than me about Microsoft. I said, I'll take the video down if my main point is like, no, you can leave the video up, but just some things we should chat about. So I'm like, oh, let's turn on the cameras and do this.
Yeah, no, that like to be perfectly, fair, you got nothing wrong. I think um, it was a great discussion, and you covered a lot of different topics. And as always, I really appreciated listening to it. I think it's super confusing, Copilot. Now, I mean, it's like Microsoft has made it confusing because they've called everything. They've got Copilot and Copilot Pro and Copilot for M365 and Copilot Plus PCs. And so I just thought it was important to just kind of dive back into it because it's obviously artificial intelligence and generative AI and Microsoft's Copilot, their version of that, is certainly a topic that people seem to be discussing,
Oh, well,
right? So
that's definitely fair because there are, and I learned this from you actually from your presentation at I believe Infocom. The different flavors of Copilot. It's not exaggerating to say dozens. I mean,
oh no, yeah, that is true.
it's
That is
not
true.
exaggerating, and I'm not gonna start saying they're doing something wrong. If they all have their purpose, they know more about what they're doing than I'm doing, but than I know. But the point is, there are so many copilots. It could be confusing as to what this is about. So to clarify, this is Copilot for Windows. That's what this button activates. And Copilot for Windows when you have Windows 11, it'll open an app right on your desktop, and that app will be it's I don't want to say it's ChatGPT, but it's similar to ChatGPT. It's something that you feel like you could talk to in a natural language, and it could answer you in a natural language, and it could help me plan out a 7-course meal for my wife's birthday party. Help me plan out my content for the next 6 months for my website channel. It could help you generate and talk back and forth. But it's I've been using it. It's better than ChatGPT because ChatGPT doesn't do the images and the sexy, fun, new stuff.
Right.
This does the images and the sexy, fun, new stuff, even the free version. So it's not Copilot for Teams. It's not the one that helps you write the emails. It's not the contact center thing. It's not the 30 other or however many other things it is. It's out of all the Copilots, it's my favorite Copilot. It's the your new best friend on your desktop Copilot that you could talk to about all your problems. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. In general, it's fair. I think it's also sort of aspirational as well, because, the one aspect is, and I think in the video you talked about planning an anniversary thing, and then your chair vendor, Susan bailed. Right now, that probably wouldn't work because there isn't that memory, right? So if you went back, it really, in different contexts, it doesn't really have that memory. I think you were talking about some of the models like inflection.ai, which actually Microsoft acquired. The Mohammed's, who was the head of inflection.ai is now a Microsoft employee. So maybe there will be that, but that particular example, I don't think, Susan bailed and you said it would know about the chairs or whatever. I don't think that would work. Now,
wait,
I
hold
would
on.
say,
I disagree. Because
okay.
the way I use ChatGPT and Copilot, when I come in the middle, there's the place where it says "Ask me anything," and you start new, and that starts a whole new conversation. But it also remembers the previous conversations from the last forever. So if I talked about Susan being the chairperson 6 months ago, I wouldn't ask in the new window. I would go down to that conversation and continue the conversation, and it absolutely would know who Susan is and know what the chairs is.
It limits. Yeah, okay. So I think we're both kind of right, because it does limit the number of turns in terms of the, because I think what they found is that conversations that carry on for a long period of time have a higher chance of having hallucinations, which is a fancy way of saying it just gets things totally
But
wrong.
I have many long-term conversations that are going on with ChatGPT.
Well, I think ChatGPT, like, there's different things, right? Because although Microsoft has the relationship with OpenAI and it is the same model, I think that there's different,
there's different
restrictions
stuff.
that have been applied, right?
They can limit it to 6 months. Absolutely, they can limit it to 1 month, and that's one of my fears is they might limit it to 1 month and say premium is 10 years of history. So when you say help me, Susan bailed, and it says, oh, that's something that happened 6 months ago. I only know up to 1 month because I'm free Copilot. I'm not going to help you. Good luck with the wedding.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, which is the limitations, because even now, like, for example, with Copilot for M365, which is the $30 per user per month that you have to buy annually, so it costs you $360 per year for your user. In terms of summarizing either email threads or chat threads, that is limited in terms of period of time, and like, it's like 30 days. So if you think, and this is what I think as we all learn about AI, if you think it's like summarizing the entire chat thread that goes back 6 months, it's not, and therefore it might miss some key things that happen beyond the window of its summarization, right? So I think with all of this, and this was just why I thought we should revisit the topic from your great initial video, is I think the devil's in the details. So for example, the new Copilot button, which is like, if you have an old keyboard, you can just do Windows C. It does the exact same thing. And, it's interesting because on Tom's Hardware and other sites, all it's really doing is it's using the left shift Windows function 23 keyboard command. Yeah, which somebody found out that back in, I don't know, 1985, IBM had a keyboard that actually had multiple rows of.
There's also an icon on every taskbar for it. So it's
Right.
like
So
if your
you can
point is
just click
valid,
on that.
you could
Right.
click Windows C, you can click the icon that's on your taskbar, you could put it in your start menu and have it come up with the start. So
Well,
yeah, there's
and
plenty
yeah,
of ways to get this thing running on your system.
and you talked about it bringing up the free version of Copilot. It turns out if you have Copilot for M365, which I have, it actually brings up it like it'll bring up that Copilot.
Oh, it'll bring up the paid,
So
yeah,
so
bring up the paid
so so
version.
if you've got both, it has a little toggle that says, do you want web or work? And so
Uh,
it'll bring up whatever the last one that you used. Now I have
so you
to,
could switch.
Your Susan Bailed example, while I still am a little dubious how that would work, I also I gotta say,
I'm gonna make a video on that.
your cookie recipe, when you said ooh walnuts, I actually tried that. And you're 100% right. It was like, okay, now the interesting thing was I was using Copilot for M365, so the work toggle.
The work you using
So
your work Copilot to talk about cookie recipes, you're gonna break the
yeah,
internet.
hey, but here was the fascinating thing, and this is where I think one of the key advantages of the Copilot for M365. Why would you pay the $30 per user per month if the Copilot free does what you need? It's really important to understand that grounding or the context that you have um, is really what makes these large language models so much better. And so because I was, for instance, using the work version, um, it is grounded in the Microsoft Graph, which means it understands whom I'm collaborating with. So at the end, it's, after I did the ooh walnuts and it said, hey, here's some nut-free recipes, here's what it said, because I copied it out. It said, additionally, I've noticed that you've collaborated with Dino Caputo and Shauna, which was another person, in the past. If you're looking for a team activity, baking cookies together could be a fun
See,
idea.
it comes up
So
with fun
there it pulled
ideas.
from the Microsoft
It
Graph.
brings in the context.
It brings in the context. And
See,
I think that this
that's
is
addictive.
yes, because it's also, it knows about your calendar, your
I
chat,
love that.
which was phenomenal. And I was, quite frankly, I was blown away because I didn't think, because
It
as you say, I was
remembers. It really
cookies, right?
does. But
Yeah,
backing up a
but
step, just to bring into context, the example that you were talking about from my video, I was making the point that I think a lot of people don't get these things and they still think it's like a
right,
new kind of search engine. And I've seen videos on YouTube of how to do prompts for these. What do you mean how to do
right,
prompts? You talk to like a person, and the example was if you say, "Give me a cookie recipe," and it gives you the cookie recipe, you don't have to say, "Please redo cookie recipe, but this time without walnuts." You just say, "Ew, walnuts." And it
right.
knows what you mean. It knows what you mean. And you tested it and it worked.
And it
But
does.
beyond that, it also said, hey, while we're talking about, while we're talking about cookies, your colleagues might want some cookies too. Now
Yeah.
that's, I'm guessing some people might say it's scary or creepy. No, I love it. I love it.
No, and I think, and people are, experimenting with this from a, kind of from a mental health therapy perspective. There's a site, character.ai, where you can say, you can create these, scenarios. You can say, talk like a pirate or be like Socrates or Dumbledore from Harry Potter. And then, you can have a conversation in that context. Now you can do that as well with Copilot. You just have to set up the scenario. Say, you're whatever, you're a Harry Potter character, answer all the questions, give it that initial intro, and then you can start conversing like that. But,
Yeah, I've been using yeah. I mean, I might switch over to Copilot, and when Zooms is available, I'm going to try out Zooms and all the rest of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
But I have like a workflow with Chat GPT now. I have all these different channels, and sometimes I go back to a previous channel because I wanted to remember the context. But
right,
a lot of what I use it for is titles for videos like these. I get stuck on the title, so what I could do is open up a new thread and say, I just did a video with Kevin and da da da. But what I'll probably do is go to a previous one and say, hey, it's me again. Because I already told them, hey, I'm David Malder from Let's Do Video. Here's a link to my YouTube channel. So you
yeah,
see what my videos are, what my style is, what my tone is. And it's like, yeah, I know you. You're David. It knows me, or at least it's pretending to well enough that it works for me.
Yeah, no, and I think you bring up a really good point, and this is where I think that the context or grounding, or sometimes they call it RAG, which is resource augmented generation, which really means, okay, what does the large language model have access to? And I think, today, for instance, for meeting summaries, they're relatively primitive because all it really has is the transcript from the meeting. And so if there's been previous discussions, if this is a recurring meeting, if even today, if there was chat going on in the meeting, because sometimes people ask questions and another person will answer it in the chat. None of those additional, information sources are leveraged. And even like the Microsoft Graph, if you say David and you're a colleague, it it only is going by, the chat transcript. But so I think, what is going to happen is all of the vendors, whether this is the, WebEx AI Assistant or Zoom AI Companion or Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini, all of them will start to ground their answers, using more information sources. And that's when it becomes much more powerful. So, what you're doing, which is going back to kind of continuing a conversation already in progress, um, that's a really good way to use this generative AI because you don't have to then go in and write, a novel at the beginning to give it all
Yeah,
that
that's what I
context,
was
right?
doing until I realized I would start everything out saying, my name is David Maldo. I'm the founder of Let's Do Video. I'm an analyst covering
Right.
this. My website does this. I'm trying to write a title for a video. I was even cutting and pasting it, and then
Yeah. It's yeah.
but
And
I'm sorry. I wanted to follow up on what you're saying, because I actually have a good question for you, because you know Microsoft Copilot's roadmap better than I do, and I'm looking for the same thing that you're looking for. I love my companion that helps me write my emails, and I love my
right.
companion that does my meeting summaries, and I love my companion that helps me in chat. But boy, it'd be nice if there was just one of them. I have a video up on Zoom Workplace, and I did this little gimmick where I brought up this magic whiteboard, and I said it was like having Alfred the butler from Batman, and I said, I
Right.
have this Alfred, and I brought up the Alfreds from all the different movies. And I'm like, these are all different Alfreds. I want one Alfred. And my understanding is, and maybe I'm a little off, but Ask AI Companion is going to talk to the other Zoom AI companions. So if you ask AI companion, hey, what do I need to prepare for my meeting? It'll say, well, here's your meeting summary from the last meeting, and here's some stuff from chat, and here's some stuff from Zoom Docs, and here's some stuff from this. It'll be able to pull it all together. And that seems to be what I know is what I want, and I think it's what you want. Is Microsoft, do they have a bring it all together on the roadmap?
Yeah. So I think not only is it on the roadmap, but it's there today. So what I would say is the today, the only real AI assistant or personal assistant that looks at multiple sources is when you go into Teams, the Copilot in Teams actually looks at emails, chats, and previous meetings. So if you say, something like help me prepare for my upcoming meeting with David Maldo, um, it will look through all of those things. Now
It'll have all of that.
that is only inside of Teams. And so I think that this is another confusing thing. Like if you even bring up the Copilot, using the Copilot button or the Windows C, that's not the same. So I
Nope.
think, where the Copilots, because everything's called Copilot, and it's you got a Copilot button in Word and Outlook and Excel. They have different, sources of information, and the best one is really in Teams. Now, you're 100% right that yes, on the Zoom roadmap, and they've been explicit about it, is they'd like to connect into the Microsoft Graph, or you know even their Zoom email can use Exchange at the back end. And so I think WebEx has been less clear, but I'm sure it's on their roadmap as well in terms of, yeah, let's use, all of these data sources to give you a better answer. but today the Copilot in Teams, and you only get that through Copilot for M365. And that's one of the big selling features of saying, hey, this is why, we at Microsoft thinks it's worth $30 per user per month, right?
A quick just side point to from what you just mentioned. It's relevant. It's not the point of a conversation, but it's relevant to it. Zoom is definitely not looking to make customers choose between Teams and Zoom. It seems like we've been positioned with this Zoom or Teams battle for a while,
Right.
and I think Zoom was for a while kind of like, yeah, we're ready for this, but the reality is there's it seems like a cheesy way to phrase it, but what I've been saying is there's just no discussion to be had of Zoom or Teams. It just, the world doesn't work that way. But Zoom and Teams is a discussion. So they're not just okay with you using Outlook with Zoom. They're very happy about it. They're looking to
Right.
make it easier. They're very. I mean, I don't want to seem like I'm too, yay Zoom, but it's maybe it's not just about making the customers happy. It's about what the business needs, but it's making the customers happy. The customers don't want to have to choose.
Yeah, no, and I think, like all the vendors should be looking at the other vendors, because certainly, Zoom has talked about simplicity, and they deliver simplicity. So, for example, Brent Kelly and I looked at the different AI assistants inside of the unified communications platform, Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams, and Google Gemini. At Enterprise Connect, we're revisiting this and updating it for Enterprise Connect AI, which is happening October 1st and 2nd in Santa Clara.
Nice.
Um, and, I think each of the vendors is getting some of the things really right. And then in other areas, they should look at what other people are doing. And
Mm.
Zoom has brought the simplicity aspect to it. And so, yeah, I applaud them for what they're doing with the Zoom AI companion. It's free for any paid license, so you don't have that decision, right? Like, do I give some of the people the
Yeah.
Copilot licenses and some don't? Um, so I think that's interesting to see how the
Free
marketplace
AI is hard to
you know,
hard to complain
yeah, well,
about,
it's
and
democratizing
free good
AI.
AI.
Yeah, no, it is, and each of them I think have their strengths, and I think that that's good for enterprises. It's good for all of us, for consumers to have that choice. Um, and the other thing I think that we're seeing, and it'll be interesting because it's taken decades for there to be some interoperability across meeting platforms, right? And you're going to end up with multiple AI assistants, whether, you correctly point out, many organizations have both Teams and Zoom. Sometimes they use Zoom for business to consumer or as a backup to Teams or vice versa. Um, but, with Apple Intelligence on your iPhone, I think I did a poll on LinkedIn recently, and like 87% of the respondents said, yes, I've got an iPhone for work and I'm a Microsoft shop. So you're going to have Apple Intelligence on your iPhone, and you're going to have Copilot. And so either the AI assistants are going to be fighting amongst themselves,
Or
you
they
know,
have to talk to
hey,
each other.
or ideally, and hopefully it won't
Yeah.
take decades like the video and UC
Ugh.
interop,
We're still not there.
hopefully they'll work together, right? But how that works with multiple AI assistants, um, I think that's going to be very interesting, but that's going to play out over the next couple of years, right?
But
So
by the way, there's a couple of viral videos on like TikTok and stuff where people put two AI phones next to each other and have them talk to each other, and they're trying to convince each other that they're not AI or whatever. And you're
right,
just sitting
right.
there, they're just having a conversation.
Yeah, it's fascinating. What I love is I love the creativity, the human creativity, like you said, ooh, walnuts, and I hadn't tried that, right? But almost every week, whether it's two phones talking to each other or a very interesting prompt that somebody's come up with, and I go, oh, I've never thought of that. I think,
You want me to show you something
it
fun? Well,
okay,
let you
sure.
finish your thought first. I'm sorry.
No, no, I think, we're all learning, like AI and generative AI is a tool. And as you say, it's very different than search. And we've all learned a little bit like, plus to put a term in or, with
I
the
don't talk
you know,
natural to Google. I talk my Google language when I'm searching in Google
right,
because
exactly. And I'm very
I'm
effective
looking
with
for
search. And now
websites.
we're learning, yeah, how do you talk to AI? And all my advice would be is talk nice to it, because eventually when it takes over the world, then you may not be eliminated. I saw a study that said Alexa is the most yelled at,
Oh,
um, you know, which I'm thinking, no, don't do that, because when
yeah, it's gonna
Skynet,
remember.
it's going
I'm
to
so
remember
nice
and
to
it's going to come and
ChatGPT, and it doesn't help. I've researched. Does it help with the search if you're polite and you say please or you say thank you? And it doesn't, but I do it anyway. It helped me with something. I was just stuck coming up with an idea for a video or something like that,
right.
and it gave it to me, and I responded. I said, "I love you." I literally
There
typed, "I
you go.
loved you," and it gave me an appropriate response. It's, "Oh, I'm so glad I was able to help, and please let me know." But I wanted to show you
Okay,
something
show
fun.
me
I was
something
playing
fun.
with Copilot for Windows by pressing Windows C,
Yes.
and one of the things it has that Chat GPT, which is where my go-to, it does the image generation. So I asked it to
Yes.
create an image for my guitar website, my guitar YouTube channel. Let me see. I'm not sure how this is going to pop up. I didn't prepare this before, and I might block you for a second, but let's see what happens.
That's okay. Oh,
There we go. I just
wow.
I said boom
Looks
so
just like
much,
you.
right? And it's cool, and I like it. I feel bad about putting artists out of work, but I don't hate this. I could
No,
use this
no.
for a graphic for my guitar scene. So I change the description a little bit. This one, I kind of love it. I kind of
Yeah,
love it.
it's very interesting to see, you know, it doesn't do, like, if you go back to the first one, it doesn't do text correctly most often, which
Yes,
is
it messed up the
interesting.
name right there too. It's trying to say boom so much, and it says boom samola.
Right, right, which is just interesting. I'm sure that over time, you know, that'll get better. But
I tried a
a
third
couple
party one
things.
that isn't Microsoft, and it struggled.
Uh,
Right?
that
It
one's a
kept
little
I
bizarre.
kept saying, "Why are you making multiple? Just give me a regular guitars." And it kept making them long, and just kept
Oh, right.
adding guitars in it. Oh, is that the same one I showed you? There's like a bunch of them.
Oh, okay, okay. Wow.
It was really
Yeah, I
weird.
think this, okay, so a couple things. In your previous video, you talked about boosts, and you said I don't, you know, and so when you get Copilot Pro, which is the one that's intended if you have a non-business plan of Office 365, like for Office for Family, or it's not like the E series or the A series for educational or the F series for frontline workers. So Copilot Pro gives you boosts, and that means that you're getting access
Yes,
to, you know, faster during peak periods, and also image generation, right? So you get like 100 boosts as opposed to the free
I got
one gives you
limited. I
30.
was playing with it too much, and it said, "Come back in a few hours." I'm like,
Right, right.
"Oh,
So that's, yeah.
okay."
So that's what boost is for image generation.
But
Um,
it does let me do a bunch of images for free if I'm just patient
Oh
and
yeah,
do
no,
a
I
few a
think you get
day.
30 boosts in the free plan, and Copilot Pro gives you 100, and I
Something like
think,
that.
I don't know, Copilot from
Oh, wait, look at the
365.
text. Boom. The
No, yeah, and
Eptor amazing.
I know it's, yeah. I think this is the other thing,
I kind of
is
like
like
it.
sometimes the image generation is phenomenal, and sometimes, you know, and I feel like this is the productivity waster of AI that people don't talk about, which is a lot of times you'll do this image and then you say, "Oh, it's pretty darn close. Let me do it again and again and again." And then eventually, if, for example, it makes, you know, it's important to get the name right, you might then have to go and do it manually
In
yourself,
Photoshop.
right?
Yeah.
And
This is the
so,
you
yeah,
start with
so
this and you fix it.
yeah, and then sometimes if you added up all the time that you took, it may have been a lot of fun, but it might not have actually saved you time. Because I've had cases in PowerPoint where I do this and do this and do this and then go, oh man, I just got to go find a stock photo, because,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
stop
it,
playing.
but it was entertaining and fun, but overall I don't know that it was actually a productivity, you know, savings, right? So and then the other thing from your video that I want to bring up is, you were talking about, you know, there's Copilot Pro, there's Copilot for M365, there's Copilot Plus, but that's Copilot Plus PCs, right? And so
Right.
I just wanted, it's because of course Microsoft has made it as confusing as possible using this all over. And then, you know, they haven't come up with Copilot Premium yet, but there is a Teams Premium license that includes some meeting recap stuff like
I forgot
Copilot.
what
But anyway,
the one I used in my video is. It's Pro, right? They call it the Pro.
yeah,
Pro.
Copilot Pro, and then you mentioned Copilot Plus, which is Copilot Plus
That's
PCs.
the PCs.
Um, yeah, so that's the PC that to be a Copilot Plus PC, you've got to have an NPU, a neural processing unit, so you can do more advanced AI on the device itself, which is what Apple's doing, which means you can do a lot of stuff without sending it to the cloud. So that's a good privacy thing, and that's where the Copilot Plus PC also has to have, not surprisingly, the dedicated Copilot button to get that to get that standard, right?
Right.
So
But
if anybody's
that's a
confused,
big
that's
point.
what a yeah.
The fact that there's a specific PC for this app, I've never heard of a PowerPoint PC. I've never heard of a Word PC. I've never heard of an Outlook PC. Those are all wonderful apps. I use them all almost every day.
Right.
But there is going to be a Copilot plus PC. So that's how much Microsoft is invested in this. This is bigger than the Xbox. This is bigger than anything. And the fact that of all of their products, the one they're choosing to put a competitive button on the keyboard is this one, the hottest technology of our era. It really feels like it's a questionable thing.
Yeah, I mean, the other apps I think are apps, whereas, Copilot, the way that Microsoft is using it, and let's be honest, there's a lot of other vendors who now have whatever Copilot CRM or Copilot, like so it's this generative AI. I mean, it is a layer that really goes across everything, and I think that that's what the Copilot Plus PC is saying. It's saying, hey, this PC has sufficient horsepower to run on the device some
All
of
your
the,
Copilots.
well, and some of the small language models, right? Because there's a bunch of things like Apple, the Apple facial recognition that doesn't get processed in the cloud. That only happens on the device. And I think increasingly people, there's certain things both for latency and for privacy that you only want to be processed on your local device. And so this is kind of like, there was that
AI on the edge
Intel
makes sense to me.
Inside or whatever, right? So,
Yeah, I'm okay with
this
that.
it's a marketing thing. And I think you went through and I totally agreed. You said, here's the different reasons. At the end, I think a Copilot button is a marketing thing. Um, and then we probably should wrap this up. But the one thing is, because it really is just left shift Windows F23, you certainly in the future, if you really wanted to, you could remap that. There's like,
No, you're not allowed
no,
to.
no, 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 you can. You
Really?
can.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100%,
Okay.
because
Not on the one I
there's
have.
like Auto Hotkey or Power Toys from Microsoft or Sharp Key.
Okay,
These
you
are
can hack it.
utilities. Yeah, because they didn't introduce like a
Because on
dedicated scan key code.
the default software lets me remap half the keys on this keyboard, and that's included in the ones that are not remappable with the default software for the keyboard.
Right. So there's like, yeah, so but and other people and check out like Tom's Hardware because they do a great job. They looked at exactly doing this.
There's
So it's not
ways,
that,
but you have to know what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, and the
The typical
OEMs
consumer
like,
will not remap it.
no, and to be a Copilot Plus PC as part of the marketing thing, you got to have the button, and the button has to, and you have to have Copilot. So in other words, you got to have Windows 11, which obviously Microsoft wants you to put on. And yeah, then when you ship it, it's when you push that, it's got to bring up Copilot, right? So I think, this is where Microsoft gets into trouble in terms of whether it's
Yeah.
installing Edge or including Teams in Office or what have you.
It's a
But
bad look at the least.
yeah, I mean, but it's I think you concluded going through it's a marketing thing. And so everybody's
Well,
seeing that Copilot logo, that Copilot button. Yeah, that's
more,
obviously
more
in
than that,
Microsoft's best interest.
I hit the Windows button by accident after 10 years. I still hit it a couple times a week by accident, sometimes a few times in the same day.
Okay.
Hundreds of times over the last 10 years. So if that, now I'm going to accidentally be hitting the Copilot button. Hundreds of times I'm going to bring up Copilot. Copilot for Windows specifically.
Right.
And my final thought on this, because we do have to wrap it up, is I asked Copilot itself. I went to Copilot for Windows and I said, I'm doing this thing on the button. specifically, not Copilot for Teams and Copilot Outlook,
Right.
this Copilot specifically that is brought up by the button, how many products are competitive with it? How many other companies have products that are competitive? And it said dozens, if not hundreds. Okay. So that's Microsoft Copilot itself.
It's a good antitrust answer.
There are dozens, if not hundreds of products that are competitive with this product, that it is putting a button on my keyboard that I'm going to hit by accident a couple times a week for the next 10 years.
And that's a great place to wrap it up.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. This is something we need to do this more often.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. Once again, it's great to be in the Let's Do Video boardroom. Thank you for inviting me.
And I'll see you at the next PC Strategies meeting.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye
Take
for
care.
now.